We are still here at the B20 Summit, and joining me now, I'd like to welcome Anuuj Chauhan, who is the CEO and founder of YS Tech. Now, this is a company that is based across the Middle East and in parts of North America also. They are offering technological solutions in an ever-changing world where we see digitization and a digital revolution that is happening in the globe. Let me welcome in here Anuuj. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me here. Wonderful to be in South Africa.
Anuuj, when we speak of tech, it's Silicon Valley in California, and then there's India. How has India really taken the tech, grabbing the tech world and saying, we are leading and we are in charge of this?
I owe credit to our senior leaders who had the foresight to allow tech to flourish in India. As you are aware, India has been the global outsourcing hub for technology since back in the 90s. And it really goes on to show how the talent, how the intellectual capabilities have been nurtured. One thing we like to say very often is intellectual capabilities are spread evenly around the world, but opportunities are not. So I want to credit our leadership, our government officials who made sure that opportunities came to India, who then allowed the talent, the educational capabilities to take that opportunity and just run with it.
Anuuj, South Africa and India, it's a long-standing relationship. And I'm not just talking of the game of cricket, because South Africa and India have a strong history when it comes to the game of cricket also. But through BRICS, the relationship is there. How do you see collaboration between New Delhi and Pretoria further enhancing in the tech field? Because the Global South has that gap. And if it's not going to be a collaboration within the Global South, then no one else is going to take that opportunity.
I fully agree. So if you will look at the current ecosystem right now in the entire BRICS region, one thing you would observe is there is this massive talent pool across BRICS that's ready to jump at every opportunity that they're going to get. And I've been asked this question multiple times when I was at the UN General Assembly, when I was in Brazil. What do you think the next India is? Who is going to be 25 years down the line, the fastest rising economy? And the answer is pretty obvious. It's going to be the Global South. You have Brazil, which is at the cusp of that technical outburst where they are just waiting for those opportunities and they want to move the financial center to the southern part. You have South Africa, which is ready and sort of able at this point in time to move those financial hub from European north to the Global South. So that migration is happening, and it's only going to get stronger and stronger as we move forward with more policy changes, with more technological advancements. I mean, AI for that matter. As the current generation, the young folks, learn those skills and decide to implement them in the day-to-day life, the global hub is moving south.
You've brought up artificial intelligence. It's such an important conversation, Anuuj, because there's the governance part of it and there's the important part of it. The important part of it is it's become part and parcel. The G20 nations have adopted AI as part of the economic growth. From a governance perspective, because I know you in the tech field, Anuuj, where are we in terms of that?
We are now in that phase where we are done with the initial hype. And personally at YS Tech, we are observing one thing, which is that now we are getting to a stage where we are talking about AI governance, where we are talking about data sovereignty. It's important to have AI within governance, within corporate, within our day-to-day life. But then it's equally important to ask ourselves, the data that we are feeding the AI and the data that is coming out, who owns that? Who has the sovereign control over that data? That being the new currency, that's becoming a really big factor. And we are again, in that phase where that saner heads are now coming in. After that initial hype, we are now talking about, all right, we now know what AI is capable of. We now just have to figure out how we're going to let it be a part of our life, how we're going to govern this when it is going to be an inalienable part where we cannot imagine a life without AI. Just like Google, it's really mind-blowing to tell anyone that, before 1998 there was no Google, and then we grew up without it, to then 2 generations down telling folks, we didn't have ChatGPT and then we grew up without it. It's going to be one of those grandfather stories, maybe.
I know, no, without a doubt. 2 questions I want to get in, Anuuj. On Tuesday, the 18th of November, we saw a complete wipe. I don't know how to describe this. A non-visibility of the internet on a number of occasions. Cloud software was down. The world was sent into panic mode at that time. There's the upside of technology, isn't it? And from a tech perspective, Anuuj, how do we make sure, number one, something like this doesn't happen? And number two, opportunity. Does it give opportunity to more companies to say, if one part of a software could be taken out, there's another opportunity that exists there for something else to come and offer an alternative in that regards?
It's about time that we realize that the global technology world is dominated by, and especially the back end, is dominated by the likes of Amazon, Microsoft, Google. So the outage that happened on the 18th, it was a very clear indication that we cannot rely on a single source of data centers, while of course everyone plans to have backups and everyone wants to make sure that the system is resilient. The system is only resilient as its weakest link. So the outage for Cloudflare, for AWS, that took out practically the entire internet. It just goes on to show that we are again in that phase where after the dot-com boom, after the cryptocurrency boom, and after the AI boom, the next boom is going to be where infrastructure has to also be sovereign. Every organization, every country has invested a lot of time and effort in the previous century to build public infrastructure. Now is the time to build digital public infrastructure, knowing that just like our public transit system, our public media systems are the backbone of our country, there needs to be a digital infrastructure which is going to be the backbone of the country, the one system that the citizen can actually rely on.
Anuuj, one final question in 1 minute. How would you sum up the Global South's G20 presidency? India had it, Indonesia had it, Brazil had it, South Africa concludes it in 1 minute.
It's a wonderful thing. The last 4 years, especially the last 3 with BRICS leading it, it just goes on to show how the term that has been used for the Global South, developing nation, is going to evolve into the rising economy. We are talking about inclusive growth for billions of folks. We're talking about a shared prosperity where we are no longer dependent upon certain regions, but then that inclusivity, that global cooperation, it's really shining through. And I'm excited. I could not be more grateful to be in an era where Global South is being recognized as the leader. 20 years ago, just imagining that India, Brazil, and South Africa back to back will be hosting their G20 presidency, to now actually witnessing it, it's an absolute pleasure.
Anuuj, absolute pleasure having you, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here.